My name is Caroline Achaintre. I'm an artist. I was born in France and grew up in Germany. Since 1998 I live in London, and right now I'm here in Dublin making work for my upcoming show at the Visual. Before I started studying art, I actually trained as a blacksmith. I really enjoyed working with metal, learning to weld and to forge, and I also liked somehow the power behind it, but it was definitely applied kind of working. I did a lot of restoration. I executed pieces for other people, but I guess the desire to become an artist was never left me, and so in the end I did decide to study. So I studied 2 years metal sculpture in Germany, and then I transferred to the UK. I finished my BA in London, Chelsea College, and then I did a master afterwards. I think it was never really a question for me to at least work with my hands, to work in a creative matter. And when I look back now, I think I always like to think artistically through my hands. I tried to continue to work with metal, in metal sculpture, but realized it's actually not my material. At least I can't really say all I want to say is in metal. And I turned my back to it. And in fact, actually, for quite a while, I tried to get rid of all kind of materiality with Super 8, with film, and we eventually turned them back into objects, and the tactility and materiality came back, because I think affinities never leave you. They never leave you. And then at Goldsmiths, out of a couple of successive thoughts, I started working with wool. At Goldsmiths was quite conceptual, and I also partially believe that the idea should define the medium. Also, I also believe in process-based work as well. And at the time I was interested in the uncanny and in like charged imagery and psychologically charged imagery, if you like, and Sigmund Freud, and all those ideas around the uncanny, the unhomely, the something scary in a familiar setting comes from a certain kind of domesticity. So I thought then it would be great to use a domestic material, a normal everyday material. And at the time I was making this intense ink drawing, so I tried to find a way of translating it into a domestic material. And at Goldsmith they had this textile workshop, and I went there and asked them if there's a way of making that into a carpet, actually. And they introduced me to the tufting gun, a tool I'm still using up to this very day. And the carpet actually ended up on the wall, so it's more like a tapestry now. And I really liked the process as much as the outcome. So the tufted work, the tapestries, in a way, they are like woolen paintings. Even if they have this relief character, they are really in between, and they are reliefs or objects as well. But I always had a desire to be even more sculptural, and I thought it would be nice if this large tapestry would be accompanied by some more sculptural works, and I started making sculptures from paper, from discarded drawings. But paper doesn't have a long lifespan as a sculptural material, so I thought maybe I should try that in clay instead. But same as with wool, a material never have worked my life before then. I also never worked with clay before, so I went to evening class and showed the teacher what I wanted to do, and luckily she introduced me to a paper clay. It's a reinforced clay that allowed me to work with clay in a way as if it would be paper. So I work with slabs, and I kind of bend them over balloons or crumbled newspaper to make it three-dimensional. So it was a desire to work sculpture, but also for the large tapestry to have some company. I think it's a bit a whole realm, a group of beings. I try to create a habitat around them for a world to enter, and I like if the different media have can start a communication with each other. I think I'm interested in identity, in coexistence, in multiple personalities, not necessarily as in schizophrenia, but like coexistence of more than one being. And I mean, maybe in simpler terms to start with, it sits between figuration and abstraction, also maybe more closer to figuration now. But I like to work with distortion as well. I like to play with my mind and the mind of the viewer. So that's why often I create creatures, if you like, that have maybe a fuse together, or you look at two things at the same time, or they are half animal, half being, maybe human being, maybe other being. So the mind really has to decide with which it's going to go along with, or has tried to take two things into account at once. This coexistence, it makes the work alive, I think. It makes it liquid, as in fluid. I don't want my work to be sturdy or stable or solid. It is, of course, so at least I try maybe through what it depicts, what it feels like to have this activation within it. First of all, when I'm invited to an exhibition, I try to see the space. Usually it's possible. And so when to see it, it's really beautiful, but it's also quite specific. There's something dark about it, something modernist. But so the part where I'm showing the hall and the successive space, and also the hall that has this window and the pond outside, reminded me of the film Stalker. And also the book it's based on, Roadside Picnic. It made me think of the zone. I mean, it's maybe a bit feels a bit post-apocalyptic. I'm not trying to insult this beautiful museum or gallery, but still it was there. So I really there are two aspects I find really interesting. That the wall where I will be hanging some work in the hallway is facing this window and the pond outside, and depending on the light situation, one will reflect the other somehow. So what really interests me in the motif of the masks, I guess, is the idea there is in front and behind. It has certainly something performative. It has a potential to be worn. It has a potential of becoming applied onto something else or someone else, a third being. That's why I'm also really interested in the idea of the carnivalesque, or pretending to be someone else, and sometimes you are someone else. I'm really a big fan of James Ensor, the painter, and his paintings of the carnival, for example, the people wearing those masks in Belgium, they really become those characters, not so nice characters actually. And that really interests me. The exhibition is called Her Hare, and I guess this slippery slope and this coexistence and double meanings is for me also on the title. So actually, quite often I took the title of one specific piece for the show that I feel is like playful enough to also stand for the whole show. It doesn't mean it's the center part of the exhibition, but Her Hare obviously can refer to the long-eared animal, or to the hairstyle she is having this day or another day, and obviously also English is not my first language, so it's quite funny sometimes things that can be misunderstood and misheard in so many ways. And I like if titles and language plays in the same way as my work is playing with, and sometimes I try that in the work if I have the right idea or it just happens. Sometimes even nonsensical, but here it's just playing with several meanings. So what advice I would give the maybe next young upcoming artist is to absolutely pursue this calling and follow the urge to making, and maybe choose something you really enjoy doing as a medium, and not necessarily you have to beat yourself up right away. Just something you enjoy and maybe are good at. I think it's, and then take it from there. it will anyway develop within it.